We must act as if we make a difference now, because the only alternative is to lay down, give up, and die. And I'm not like that, and I know you're not. And I know all the people who are watching shows like this deeply want to be involved in this shift in consciousness.
Fighting words that I will take to my grave. And as this show went on, Mike and I spoke often. He would write me with his support for what I did and express the faith he had in my work. But Michael also struggled with depression, and he'd announced many times that he was plagued with despair. There's only so much pain one can absorb, and there's only so much burden of the world one can hold on their shoulders. And if anyone watched his series Apocalypse Man on Vice, you knew that death was the last thing he was afraid of. In fact, he seemed to embrace it as if it was a leap of evolution during the later months of his life. Michael, you were my friend and my spiritual brother. I took advantage of knowing that you were there and that you would be there when I needed a friend and confidant later on. But even though you won't physically be there, I know you still will be. In the rays of the sun and wind whipping through the air. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. So rest in peace, Michael C. Ruppert. Your insight and passion will be truly, truly missed. We'll do our best to carry on the struggle without you, but I truly regret not telling you just how much you were loved and needed by us. I have to close out this show today with a very...
Okay, that's a real good thing to think about. If you love somebody, you better tell them. Might be too late. Well, anyway, it's hard to keep a straight, no tears in your eye after seeing Abby. That was funny. But I can't do that. But anyway, we've got on a happier note. We're going to think outside the box a little bit here. And I have a guest here that some of you might recognize. It's Alex Ansary, formerly Outside the Box here on this channel. And we need to put up that phone number. That's the problem with this background. You can change back to that other background that has the phone number so people can call in. I know people will be wanting to ask Alex what he's been doing and all that. So we're going to start out right now by where he's been and where have you been and what are you doing? What are your plans?
Well, good to be back, Bill. It's good to be back in the studio, and thanks for playing that video. I remember interviewing Michael Ruppert here in studio in 2005, and it was actually here in Portland, Oregon, where that 9/11 lecture that he gave at Portland State University went down, I think, in October 2001. And that speech that Michael Ruppert gave reached the world. And he was one of the first people on the scene to lay out the money ties between Wall Street, the CIA drug running, 9/11, and so many other things that you can learn about in Crossing the Rubicon.
Yeah, this Crossing the Rubicon book, you really need to get it. Mine is almost dog-eared now. Well, not too bad. I treat my books pretty well, but it's got at least 3/8 of an inch of references in the back. Whenever you look at a reference book or any book that somebody's writing, check out and see how many references they have. Do they have any? It makes a big difference. You can tell right away the type of fiction or nonfiction it's going to be.
Mm-hmm. So as far as me coming back to Portland, and it's the short story is that the last episode that some people, or period of time that I was here, was late 2011, I believe, around September. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I had been on the air here about 6 years.
The last show you did here, we did
right. It was on 9/11.
Texas.
There was actually a show after that. That's right, where we connected on Skype.
Yeah, we did an experiment with our old system that was still standard definition, and he answered all the phone calls from Texas.
That was fun.
Yeah.
And you had to relay them back. And, I did go to Dallas, Texas for about a year. I accepted a job working at a video production company, and that lasted about a year. And, there was a lot of people wondered why I left Portland. And, for people that have been watching what's been going on with the economy, the job situation, a lot of us got hurt pretty bad in the last couple of years, especially 2009, 2010, especially after I lost my job. So after being on the air for about 6 years in Portland, when a job opportunity did open up outside of Portland, I took an opportunity to experience more of what life was like outside of a city that, for the most part, I grew up in. Even though I've traveled to a lot of places in my life, I actually grew up in Aurora, Oregon when I was a lot younger. There was a lot of curiosity that I had about life in Texas, and that 1 year in Dallas actually led to something larger, which I'll talk a little bit about tonight, what I really took from my travels.
You said it's cheaper to live in Dallas, huh?
Well, there's more jobs in Dallas. It depends on what neighborhood you're living in. And we could talk a little bit about Dallas, but it led to me living off the grid in Colorado. Because I remember for years, putting a lot of emphasis on being self-sufficient, ready for a disaster, ready for some sort of emergency. But I was still, living in the city for the most part, working within the system, paying my taxes, and I didn't have any of that experience. So I lived for about 10 months without technology in the middle of the desert, the San Luis Valley of South Central Colorado. And through a series of synchronicities, things happening by accident, some people may see it as a coincidence, some people may see it as divine intervention, things were thrown in my path that ended up with me finding a yurt and finding firewood and developing the friends and allies, not through the internet, but randomly. And so it was a beautiful year of reflection. And after putting a lot of my life into Access TV and Outside the Box TV, it was good for me to have a break and also reflect on certain things. And then from there, I went to Kansas City, Missouri, and stayed with a few friends for a few months. And it was at that point that I wouldn't say homesickness kicked in, but just kind of an awakening to a point that I had traveled enough, and I felt like it was time to come back to Portland and bring back Outside the Box TV. And so after a few years, exactly 2.5 years of being away, I made the decision to come back. I did come back without a home and immediately started living in my truck. And it's been an amazing urban survival experience in the last few weeks. But I'm remaining hopeful. I'm doing a lot of praying. And I am very motivated right now to bring back the series on a weekly basis to Portland Community Media.